Welcome, my political friends of the interwebs. Well, I did a video called Proof That Romney Will Take Ohio. That's the video you're looking at right now, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm kind of shocked it blew up. It's got almost 20,000 views now. Unbelievable. But listen, I've gotten a ton of questions from people saying, hey, how is this proof that Romney's taking anything? And I realized that, you know what, I guess if you're not from Toledo, Ohio, you probably missed it. You probably completely missed the point on this, because this is extreme proof that Mitt's going to take Ohio. So what I've decided to do is just do a little analysis, a little play-by-play, if you will, on this video. So if you're interested in me proving that Mitt Romney is going to take Ohio, this video is for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video, and then I'll pause it from time to time, and just kind of give you a little of my expert analysis, if you will. Okay, first of all, before I even start this up, what you're looking at right now is the band of protesters, the thin line of protesters across the street from where Romney was going to be speaking. And I've never done a real head count on these protesters, but I estimated them to be somewhere around 30, give or take. It was hard to tell because there were actually, literally, journalists mingling in within the protesters. Yeah. Here's the little trick that these left-wing journalists like to do. They get real tight in with the protesters, and then when they actually show the film, it looks like there's a ton of protesters. I'll tell you what, I made a point of watching my local news station's coverage on this, and that's exactly what it looked like. Had I not been there, I would have assumed that there were hundreds of protesters protesting Mitt Romney, when, as you can see, what the reality is. You know, these left-wing journalists, they have an agenda, and I think that most of us truly understand that. There are still some Kool-Aid drinkers out there that don't see it, but for the most part, or sheeple, I should say, because listen, not everybody's a hardcore Kool-Aid drinker. There are plenty of people that are just, well, clueless. You know, literally clueless. They watch the news and they take it for as the gospel, and in reality, it's smoke and mirrors. Okay, so now, here's the thing. Here's one of the, I'm going to go step by step as to why I believe this offers up proof. This entire video I'm going to do is offers up proof that Mitt will take Ohio. Listen, Toledo, first of all, you must understand Toledo, Ohio. Okay, Toledo, Ohio is basically the ugly sister of Detroit. Actually, considering Detroit's a stinking, rotting corpse, Toledo's doing a little bit better. maybe Toledo's the Cinderella of the two. But listen, Toledo is a serious, hardcore union town. It relies a lot on the UAW jobs, and therefore it always goes left. Always. One of the reasons, I mean, Toledo literally, I think, shoots themselves in the foot. First of all, understand this. Toledo's 1 hour south of Detroit. Okay, 1 hour south. There's a lot of auto manufacturing in Toledo. General Motors, GM Powertrain is here. The Jeep plant, in fact, Jeep started in Toledo. So I think you get the picture there as far as the UAW goes and the control that the UAW has and the Democratic Party has on the city of Toledo. Now listen, remember what I just said, 30 protesters. Okay, 30 protesters. In a UN, or excuse me, a UN, it's a whole another video. In a UAW ran town like Toledo, and they could only literally get 30 protesters to show up at an event. By the way, Mitt Romney came late after. He was in Cleveland before. In fact, those of you who watched the Obama phone chick, that was in Cleveland. Okay, we've got the same brand of lunatics here in Toledo, but that was Cleveland. When he went to Cleveland, and then he came to Toledo. So Toledo's event didn't start till 5 o'clock. In fact, this video here was taken right around 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon. So it isn't like people had to get up bright and early to come protest, you know? So yeah, I mean, you know, when you really take it and put it in perspective, and you realize that, hey, we're talking about Toledo, Ohio, the San Francisco of the Midwest, and they could only get 30 protesters, most of which I'm sure were bought and paid for. I didn't see them get bussed in, but they all kind of look like they were cut from the same cloth. Would not surprise me one bit if these were professional protestors or astroturfers or whatever you want to call them. So I offer up to you as proof that if you could only get 30 protesters in a left-wing town like Toledo, Ohio, to protest the nominee for the Republican Party for president, yeah. Okay, let's go a little bit further in this. So I wanted to cross the street, get a kind of pan the view of all the protesters, just to let everybody know that there wasn't hardly anybody there protesting. I don't consider 30 people, seriously, I don't consider that a legitimate protest. So then what I wanted to do is I wanted to walk down the sidewalk just so people could get a scope as to how many Mitt Romney supporters there were there. And I'm here to tell you, shit tons. I didn't do a head count clearly. I don't think I can actually count that high. But there were shit tons of people coming out. Listen, I have not seen lines this long since the last time I went to Chick-fil-A. I mean, so I stopped this guy here. He's selling buttons. And I asked him, I said, hey, who buys more buttons? Because listen, I'll tell you guys a little secret. When I was a young man, I actually took a job one time making a little extra cash selling political buttons. I think it was, I want to say it was the first George Bush that was running, or it might have been Ronald Reagan. I know I was fairly young. I might have even been in high school. So I know that these guys sell to both sides. I mean, they sell if a Democrat's around, they sell the Democrats. If it's Republican. So I asked the dude, I go, who buys more buttons? Or I think I called them pins. The Obama supporters or the Romney supporters? And he said, hey, the Romney supporters. Now, you may say, well, that doesn't mean anything. Well, maybe not, but I will tell you this. It definitely shows that there's some passion behind Romney. Now, you wouldn't get that feeling from watching the mainstream media. Now, the mainstream media has pretty much got you convinced that nobody's showing up for Mitt Romney. But you know what's funny? To be honest with you, Barack Obama, who 4 years ago was demanding huge crowds, he can't fill a high school gymnasium anymore. Seriously. Now you've got Romney here, and I showed this legitimately. I didn't do any cutting. I didn't do any editing. You know, these videos that I made when Romney was in Toledo, none of them have been edited. They are literally, I turned the camera on, I turned the camera off. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to show exactly the way. I didn't want anybody accusing me of playing any douchebaggery with the editing process. I wanted to show you what it really was. And in this case, what it really was a whole lot of people in Toledo, leftist Toledo, Ohio, showing up to support Mitt Romney, showing up to listen to him speak. And it was it was energy like you wouldn't believe. When I got into that hall, it was like, oh my God, you could feel the electricity in the air. You know, so when I listened to the mainstream media try to play this whole thing like, oh, and listen, here's some kids. Listen, parents brought their children, grandparents brought their grandchildren. There was a lot of youth here. You'd be really surprised. You would really be surprised how many youth was at this thing, which I love. I absolutely love that. But the line was wrapping around the block, literally wrapping around the block. And I didn't end up going to the end of it because I went to the rally with my friend. It was kind of funny because, well, I'll save that for another video, but she'd be coming up here pretty soon. But listen, it was amazing to see how many people turned out. Now listen, the proof is this. Toledo, Ohio. Toledo, Ohio. Literally, left-wing Toledo, Ohio. I mean, I'm going to stop you here because it's just about the end of this video anyway. But left-wing Toledo, Ohio. UAW ran Toledo, Ohio. Gets an army of people to show up for Mitt Romney and 30 Democratic protesters. Seriously. If that doesn't tell you what's going on in Ohio, nothing does. You know, and listen, unless you've really paid attention, you really don't know this, but I hate to say this, but it's just the facts. I'm just going to lay the facts out to you. The media is in the tank for Obama. Bottom line. The media is in the tank for Obama with the exception of Fox News and talk radio, for the majority of talk radio. The media is in the tank for Obama. And they are trying to demoralize Republicans, conservatives, Christians. They're trying to demoralize us to make sure that we just don't show up to the polls. But let me tell you something. Look at these crowds. Look at this line wrapping around this building. City blocks. And you will know that the media is literally trying to fool us. The media is literally trying to demoralize us. And in reality, we're pumped. We're going to show up. We will show up. So when the media tells you that, you know, Obama's ahead by 10 points, you know, in Ohio, don't you believe it? Don't you believe it for a second. Because if they can't get more than 30 protesters to show up in Toledo, Ohio, they're in trouble. They are in trouble. I'm telling you right now. When Barack Obama comes to Toledo and he has to go to a high school gymnasium, literally, And literally, that's exactly where we went, to a high school gymnasium. And there wasn't a huge crowd there. I think most of the people that were there were the high school kids. Hey, listen, Barack Obama's in trouble in Ohio. Toledo is as left of a town as Ohio has. Toledo and Cleveland. That's your left-wing bastions in Ohio. Okay, the rest of Ohio, painted red. Painted red. Columbus, Cincinnati, and all parts in between, painted red. So when I'm looking at massive turnouts for Mitt Romney in Toledo, and I'm looking at pathetic turnouts for Barack Obama, what's that tell you? You can't listen to the media, people. I'm asking you to take this video as proof positive that Mitt Romney is going to take Ohio. I think, in fact, I'll go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say this. Mitt Romney is not only going to take Ohio, he is going to crush Barack Obama in Ohio. Yeah. Now, there are other issues as far as Pennsylvania goes and West Virginia. I can talk about that too, but I'm not, because we're over 11 minutes, and you know how much I hate that. So, there you go. Proof that that Romney will take Ohio with a little bit of analysis, or explanation, I should say. I'm not sure I'm going to title this. But anyway, listen, everybody, I appreciate, for all of you who have shared my videos on your Facebook and your Twitter, I can't even begin to tell you how much that helps. It really does. It really, really helps. So thank you for doing that. And for those of you who've watched my videos and you've subscribed, thank you very much. I'm just trying to get the message out, people. I'm just trying to fight the good fight. For those of you who are new to my channel, look, it's all about politics. It's all about the Second Amendment. I've kind of blended two guns. It's a little bit of a random show, but mostly politics, especially now that we're in the election process here. So anyway, that's all I got for you. Thank you all for hanging out for 12 minutes. See ya!